Welcome everybody here to the Six Rings Kane show, and we are joined. We're really excited actually to have Eric McLean on the show here, college football analyst, co-host of the Huddle on the ACC network with our good friend Mr. Coach Mark Richt and EJ and the rest of the crew there. What's going on, Eric? Glad to
Hey,
have you
I'm
on,
just
man.
happy to be here with you guys. I'm actually surprised you brought up EJ. I didn't know if that was like against the rules or if you just want to shout out Coach Rick, but I dig it, man. I dig it.
Yeah, we'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
We like we don't mind. It's kind of a weird thing with Miami. Like Florida State and us play each other, so there's kind of a we all make fun of Florida type of thing.
There you go. I'm all in with that.
If there was a Gator on there, I don't know that we would have, but we're okay with EJ. He's tolerable.
Yeah, strong positive. Plus, my good friend is actually really good friends with him. We played at FSU with EJ back in the day. So, hey, again, really excited to have you on. I kind of wanted to start off. We saw you do the piece with Kelsey Riggs, Packer on the Miami Hurricanes about a month or two back when you guys were down here in Miami. What are your thoughts on this program as a whole now with Mario Cristobal at the helm coaching the Miami Hurricanes, coming back to Miami and doing this thing here?
Yeah, man, I was so jacked up, the day that it was announced, and there have been so many whispers. It was so, weird the way that it was all handled and went down with, the fact that they were going after him while they still had a head coach. But once it was official, man, I was jacked up and thought that it would be something that, is going to, progress Miami into the future very nicely with, having a guy like that home. He is obsessive about football. He is obsessive about Miami. And I think that is something that this program, dearly needs, is a guy with a vision like that, with a passion like his, that, man, it's everything. With some coaches say, yeah, well, it means this to me to be here. It's so exciting, this and that. It is the mountaintop for Coach Cristobal. This is home. This is it. Everything he's grown up for, everything he's ever done. And I'm jacked up for it, man. His vision is so clear with how he presents it, the things that he wants from this football team, the expectation that he has. And, we spoke with Tyler Van Dyke, last week leading into the Texas A&M game and just kind of, asked him about the culture and about the things. And he said, man, the level that they expect from us is at a level I've never had in my entire life. And that's what you need. That's what it takes to be great. That's what it takes to get a seventh ring, as the comment or as the title of the show here today. And so, when I look at all those things, man, I'm excited. I think, as all things do, it just takes a little bit of time. And, once he gets his guys, once he gets everything rolling in the direction that he thinks is the level that he expects, look out, man. Miami's going to be in a really fun spot.
By the way, we're definitely get into some of the play on different positions, but I had to mention this, and I told Vish earlier, I said, we got to talk about this, right? You played the offensive line position for Clemson from 2012 to 2015, played with some great players over there. But I got to ask you this, right? And I got to throw this out there. Number 59 player in the country, number 6 tight end in the country. What are you doing going to Clemson? Why aren't you at Miami? We put tight ends in the league, man. What's going on
This opportunity, man.
That's true, man. That's what a miss that was by me. Man, I got to tell you, it was something where I just got to Clemson and it felt home. It felt unbelievable. And I don't think, man, I'm from small towns. I'm from the country. I don't know if Miami would have even been the spot. I don't know what I would have been able to do there. I would have lost my mind, but it's beautiful. Now that I've been there, I've been to Coral Gables and seen the campus and Hard Rock. Man, that's why we're seeing recruiting go so well right now for those guys. I don't see how you couldn't want to go there. But it's an incredible place. But yeah, at the time, it wouldn't have met up with my thing at all.
So that's actually so that actually triggered a thought in my head. So now that you've kind of visited the program, you've seen the stadium, you see the campus, how different is, because obviously we're from Miami, we love the place, but how different is the reality from the perception of they don't have a campus stadium? That place is like not a serious football. If you want proper facilities, you got to go somewhere else. Like, how different is the reality to kind of the perception you see nationally?
Yeah, I think that it's so, different than most places because of the location. Like, Miami's one of the most popular places in the world, right? Not a town, not a small city. I mean, this is a booming metropolis, right? And so to do the things necessary, it's not like Clemson. Clemson can build whatever they want, wherever they want, whenever they want. There's land for days, and it's very relatively cheap compared to Miami. And so with those factors in mind, I think that you look at Hard Rock, that's one of the best stadiums in the country, man. And I get that it's, a ways away, but, it's just different there. It's a pro town. And when the Canes are rolling, guess what? That thing's packed out. Doesn't matter where it is. That community around that area and that city there, they pack it out. Okay. And so with that and seeing what Miami is doing and talking with Dan Radakovich and the home, that he's building for Miami football right across the street there, it's going to be fantastic. And so throw all those narratives out the window. I don't need an on-campus stadium for a school that is very small, very private, and all of that. It's not the same as a Texas A&M that has a student body of 30,000, whatever that is, that go to games and things of that nature. So for me, man, I think Miami has more than committed the financials necessary. It did take some time. It did take some criticism, but we're here now, and the future is extremely bright.
All right, Emac. You mentioned the name. You mentioned the team, Texas A&M. That's obviously what we wanted to talk about. Let's do this first, right? I want to black out. Let's say Team A and Team B. Okay, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna black out.
I already know where you're going, brother.
Okay, we're gonna talk to you. Team A had a total of 393 total yards, right? As opposed to Team B, 264. First downs, 27 to 16. Rushing yards, 176 to 125. Passing yards, 217 to 139. Time of possession was something like 39 minutes of time of possession for Team A. Right. You look at those numbers and you say Team A dominated this football game, and they put a shellacking on Team B, right? So just to kind of say that, what would you say to that?
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. It's one of those games where if you just print out the box score and you didn't watch any of it, you think Miami won. You think Miami won comfortably. And, it's crazy to see the little things that went wrong and the things that are very controllable, which is a good thing. I know it's a silver lining, and we hate those things at times. But when I see that game and I see that it was just right there, it was so close. You're on the road. You're in a crazy environment. You're going against a top 25 team in the entire country who just got embarrassed at home, that wants to prove that they belong, man. And little things that stack up quickly. I love the quote that, Coach Cristobal said there. It's not enough to just compete. We've got to execute. We have to play at a high level, do what we do best. And I think when I see that and I see those numbers, the one that jumps out the screen to me the most that you didn't even mention there, 5 trips to the red zone, 0 touchdowns. That is something where I'm just like, man, it's coaching, it's executing as a player, it's doing the things necessary. Because if we go through those and looked at each and every drive, there's a different thing that happened. A guy misses a block that would have been a walk-in touchdown. A guy drops a ball that would have been a walk-in touchdown. We miss a throw. We get a field goal block. All these different things that it was everybody. It wasn't just one, which it's good because you can correct and get those things going. The biggest thing for me in this game, guys, is what is the response? What does the team look after? How does it galvanize this team to another level that we look up at the end of the season and Miami's potentially 11-1 and rolling? And you look at that as that was the springboard that really got us going. You always want that to happen in a win. It happened in a loss. Let's see what they can do with it.
Yeah, so I certainly would have obviously preferred that the team won, especially since
me too, by the way.
Yeah, I was actually born in College Station. My dad's a university professor, taught at A&M, and then moved to Miami. So I spent some of my childhood years there. I'm never gonna hear the end of this one, but so they really let me down there in that sense. But overall, is it odd that I feel better about the team I was coming out of the game? Because, I mean, for years watching this team, even when they won, it felt like it was off. And, they look like a really good football team that just need to, like you said, it was like death by paper cuts. It was just, oh, God, if you could just, string a couple of these together without making the critical mistake. So I almost felt better coming out of the game than I have after wins in the past. Is that odd? Is that odd? Like, I don't know. I'm a little conflicted.
But I think that the way that Miami never gave up, right? I mean, they fought to the absolute end. You when you're at an environment like that and you have everything going against you, it's easy to give up, man. And that could have been an ugly blowout. And it wasn't. And those guys fought. They believed, in each other. When all things, were stacked against them, they kept going and they kept grinding. And so for me, man, I think that's what you probably saw. I think that's the energy you took away from the game. The disappointment that you heard from the players and from the coaching staff, that, okay, this team's for real. Like this hurt. They should grow from this. And so, that's where I'm looking at this and can't wait to see what's next.
So in terms of like things that can be cleaned up, you mentioned, 5 trips to the red zone,
Right.
Only kicked a few field goals, some of the drops and the missed block. I know what play you're talking about was a receiver missing a block. So what do you think overall of the red zone execution, the play calling, and the wide receiver play? I know you said it's correctable. It's not one person, but it did feel like it was kind of pervasive. And I know a lot of Miami fans, not necessarily the most rational bunch, are jumping all over the offensive coordinator, and it's kind of put up almost 400 yards against a very good defense. It's hard to really, knock it that much. But what are some things they could have maybe done differently, and what are things they can do to kind of get the wide receiver group a little bit more in sync?
Right. I mean, the biggest thing with those guys, I mean, I went back, watched the film, and counted 9 drops. I mean, that's inexcusable. And what stinks even more, though, is that your best player wasn't available. He breaks his foot or whatever the injury was to his lower body there. And I just have to think that he would have at least made up for half of those, right? He would have been targeted on at least half of those. And what would he have been able to do if in the situations? That's a little bit of what if. Those guys in the wide receiver room just need to – man, you need to spend extra time. You need to focus. You need to look that ball in, secure it over and over again in practice, after practice, before practice. Get on the jug machine, get with Tyler, get that consistency, get that rhythm, because now there's going to be questions of trust. It's like, okay, can I throw it to this guy? Is he going to be able to come down with it? And when you're playing a guessing game with your guys, you never want to be in that situation. And so a lot of work that can be done, but that's the good thing. It can be done. It's not a lack of speed. It's not a lack of athleticism. That's all there. You just got to go in and focus on the little things a little bit more to kind of hit on the, offensive coordinator criticism and the things, from, Coach Gaddis and things that I've seen there. This is one thing that I can promise you guys, and it is applicable to most situations. He did not drop a single pass. He did not miss a single throw. He didn't miss a block. He didn't make the wrong cut or wrong read. At the end of the day, we as players have to go and execute. It was never, my mindset when I'm in the huddle or we're lining up and they call something that maybe I don't agree with. I have to go do my best job, because guess what? If we're all executing at 100%, the play will work. There's always something, that goes wrong from a player standpoint. And certainly there's schemes. I mean, if you run right into a blitz, obviously there's nothing you can do that. It's overloaded. So, maybe a little bit more creativity. Would like to see the ball in Tyler's hand a little bit more, throwing that football. But again, 9 drops. It's a trust thing. You're guessing, can my guys do it? Can they get involved? And would like to see a little bit more involvement of the tight end play probably down there. Get those big guys in space. Let's trust them and get them the rock.
I love that. This is a perfect segue here because you mentioned Tyler Van Dyke. Now, let's just talk about it, right? You played with some big time quarterbacks in your day. Yeah. Taj Boyd, Deshaun Watson. You got to see some greatness there with those guys. How would you rate the overall play so far this season? Because I know we saw, a lot of great throws and a great play from TBD last year. Overall play so far this year from Tyler Van Dyke. A lot of the fans kept saying, well, hey, to spark the team, let's put in Jake Garcia again. Not very, you can understand the Miami fans are probably some of the craziest in the country. I'm sure you feel that by now, but obviously we think is a little ludicrous. But anyways, the overall play of Tyler Van Dyke this season and in the Texas A&M game as well.
Yeah, I mean, certainly it has not been as productive, right? I mean, that's a matter of fact. He ended the season on an absolute tear. 6 straight 300-yard games, 6 straight 3+ touchdowns. You look at who he was throwing to. I mean, Charleston Rambo was fantastic. Harley was fantastic. Those guys were difference makers, and they're gone. And so you have to rebuild with other guys, and they're not doing their part. So now you're struggling. And again, that confidence thing it's a big deal. The one thing that I can tell you time and time again is that Tyler Van Dyke can make throws that few people in this country can. And we saw it in the Texas A&M game. He'll put that thing right over somebody's head, right where it needs to be, can deliver strikes like few can. So he is still the same player. We just have to help him. You just got to catch the ball when he throws it to you and really get going. I would like to see a couple more shots down the field. I mean, he's got such a rocket launcher of an arm. And in those first couple of games, Miami didn't have to throw the ball to win or to score. I mean, they ran at will. And so it's a weird situation where you're limiting your guy because you don't need to, but at the same time, you have to build this cohesion and this trust between receiver and quarterback that it's just, it's going to be interesting. Once it clicks, though, I mean, look out. This guy is tremendous. He's going to be a first-round talent whenever he leaves. So all of that is there. They just have to keep figuring it out, keep growing together.
So quick follow-up on that. You mentioned that cohesion, that trust. How contagious is that lack of, I guess, execution and trust? Does that – because I feel like that affected the whole passing game on Saturday, where once it started, they could not get out of that. The throw would just be off.
Yeah, it's just so mental, man, that this game, I mean, literally people are trying to take your head off every play. And so mentally, if you're thinking about catching a football, or if you're thinking about where do I have to go to get this instead of what's open and where can I just throw it, it slows everything down. It makes the process so much harder, where this is a very easy game. Take what you get that ball out, and let's ride. And so, I think with that, you talk about that, how contagious is it? It's, man, when you get down and you see body language, you see guys arguing, things of that nature on the sideline, absolutely. I mean, it's almost the place of, can we do this instead of let's go do this? And so, to me, just remembering who you are, just reminding yourself, this is the you. We're some bad dudes. Let's get it going. I think at the end of the day, having a nice reset this week, and then, it's going to get really jacked up.
Yeah. By the way, a couple more questions here for Eric McLean. Again, thank you so much, man, for joining us on the show. Truly appreciated. And so I got to mention it, right? I got to throw a little bit of not shade. I'm not throwing shade at you, Eric. All right, I'm not. But I saw the ACC power rankings.
Oh, no, come on!
All right, and I saw you put Miami at number 7. No, I'm just messing with you. Look, I get it. How do you come up with those rankings? What has Miami shown you or not shown you, right? To either put them further up in that ranking? Because look, I get it, right? Clemson, NC State looked the part. Pitt, even though they're missing Keenan Slovis, well, they missed him this week. I'm not sure what's going to happen moving forward. You've got some now. Sam Hartman is back at Wake, so on and so forth. The one that's interesting, although they're playing really well, Syracuse. Okay, Syracuse is up there. I know they're playing really well, but look, at the end of the day, I see that. I see the number 7 ranking. I would have put them closer up to the number, maybe top 3 or 4. But no, I'm just kidding. How do you come up now? I'm just joking around. But how do you come up with that ranking there?
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you giving me a platform to explain. And what, I think is interesting about, really the way that I do these things is, if you see your team fall, a lot of people just assume, oh, it's because we did bad. We did this, we're getting punished. With my rankings, man, a lot of the time it's the other teams are just doing well. Syracuse is playing out of their mind right now, defensively, offensively. They were the only, ACC team going into this weekend that was top 30 on offense and defense. They're just playing that well. They played against a Louisville team that has, Malik Cunningham that is so electric and run all over the yard. They bottled him up and did very impressive. This past weekend, Syracuse, their star player, Sean Tucker, went for 50 yards. If you showed me that a year ago, they would have lost by 50. Guess what? They won. They found a way to win. Their quarterback, Garrett Schrader, playing out of his mind right now. So it's more so putting them up, celebrating them and what they're doing. And the way that they're playing, I think, can hang with those teams in front of them. When I look at Miami, and the reason that I got to 7 was just the struggles offensively and not being able to execute. We saw it, early in the game 2 weeks ago, and just not being able to get things going on offense, having to do a flea flicker to get to a touchdown. And then against A&M, who lost to App State, we all know that, not a super big penalty, but couldn't get in the end zone. I thought Miami was going to run and score all over these guys, and they just couldn't do it. The good thing is this isn't the ACC of a couple of years ago where it's if you're not number 2, you're a bad football team. Like the league is showing extraordinary depth. I think for folks that primarily focus on one team or a couple of teams maybe don't know that, the ACC is balling this year. And to be 7, that's not the end of the world. The good thing is just go win. You'll keep climbing that list and be back where you want to be.
Man, you stole Vicious Thunder. I know he.
I'll ask it anyway. So because I do want to kind of elaborate on the question a little bit, but I was going to ask you overall about kind of the quality of the ACC. But But just as a follow-up, what do you think about the perception of the ACC? Because we're Miami guys. We follow the conference pretty heavily, and we like what we experience on a week-to-week basis is good, exciting football.
Right.
And a lot of the perception is basketball schools. This is,
of course.
I mean, a lot of what I heard going into this Texas A&M game was how will Miami deal with the atmosphere? It's like they play at Virginia Tech every other year. They play at Clemson. Like this is not new. There's big-time football played in the ACC. How do you, as kind of, I don't want to overstate, but one of the faces of the ACC, how do you kind of feel the perception matches up to reality? Because we love the conference, we love the play, and we kind of, it is disappointing sometimes to hear it kind of talked down to. And it's like, no, we're playing good football out there.
Well, I think the biggest thing, is, these out of conference games. How do you perform? How does the league perform? And, of course, wins and losses, what gets most people's attention, but, are you getting blown out? Are you in the game? Are you winning the game? And so, to have games like West Virginia where Pittsburgh is on the only show in town on national TV and, has that heroic win. When you see an FSU going against LSU on Sunday night, the only team playing, everybody's watching that. So those are the opportunities that, man, you can really make some headway. You can say, okay, this conference is for real. This conference is going to do it. Syracuse against, Purdue. So it's great to see those teams getting those dubs, flying that flag, getting it done there. And that's how you change it. When you're playing against the SEC, the Big Ten, the Big 12, the Pac-12, like go out there, fly the flag, whoever's playing, and get it done. And so I think to see that, but also to see kind of the bottom rise up a little bit. I mean, look how Duke is playing right now in the Coastal. They have a quarterback, and they're moving the ball extremely well. Look at Syracuse. Did not think they would be here at all. And I have them where I do in my power rankings. Look at a team in Florida State that quite frankly has been bad in the last couple of years, playing at a very high level, probably going to be ranked if they take care of business, this weekend. So when you look at all that, my man, it's the elevating of the conference as a whole. That's how you change the narrative. That's how you change the perception. Go out and get those W's.
Last question here for you, Emek. Look, the future looks bright with Miami now with the new regime here, but also you start to see that the play is a lot better as well. It's a little more exciting to see how well they're playing on certain on the defensive side of the ball. Offense, they got to clean some stuff up, but the future is looking bright. Kind of give us an idea of where you see Miami at the end of the season, ACC regular season play. Do you see them kind of challenging for that ACC championship game against, Clemson, NC State, one of those teams as well?
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. I think, just the way that the season could potentially shake out, I think that last game at the end of the season, I think that's going to be a play-in game. Miami playing Pittsburgh. I think the winner of that is going to go to the ACC championship game. And why would you want anything less? You want those type of high stakes. You want that type of game to matter, so much. And then once you get there, you take care of business. You're looking at potentially playing to get a playoff bid and getting to the college football playoff. So all of Miami's goals right there in front of them. Again, all the mistakes that were made, you have to feel good because they're fixable in a game that you're on the road. You have all that adversity, and yet you hang in there, and you had a chance, to march in there and get in the end zone and potentially force overtime after you go for two. So the biggest thing for me is to see how Miami comes out this week, to see them play with wind in their sails, going hard, super excited, and just the execution, has to take a step forward.
And I think I can speak for every single Miami Hurricane fan or anybody that's follows the Canes. First of all, thank you for coming on the show. But as I said, I think I can speak for everybody that we send our best and our love to Coach Mark Richt.
No doubt.
We love him down South Florida.
Yeah, definitely let him know. So. Absolutely. We're always thinking about him down here. And you guys do an excellent job on the huddle and everything you guys do with the ACC network. You really kick some serious some butt there. So, again, Eric, thank you so much for joining us again on the show. And I think we should have you on before that Clemson game.
Come on, baby. Let's do it.
Oh, boy. He's not going to be as sympathetic to Miami at that point.
Some friendly banter going on there on that one.
That's right. Hey, we can do it. Appreciate you guys having me, man. I will send all the love and all that to Coach Rick. Can't wait to see him this weekend. And, appreciate your guys' time. This was a lot of fun.
Absolutely, man. We appreciate it. Thank you so much again. Eric McLean, everybody, from the Huddle on the ACC Network.